time, here we go. People gonna rise like the water, so everyone in the building can hear this crisis down. I hear the voice of my great-granddaughter singing, keep it in the ground. One more time, real loud. People gonna rise like the water. We're gonna calm this crisis down. I hear the voice of my great-granddaughter singing, keep it in the ground. Singing, keep it in the ground. Singing, keep it in the ground. Thank you. I am Jen with Thrive Street Choir. We'll be back throughout the event.
Hey everybody, thank you for coming out today. How are you guys feeling? Getting a little wet? Digging the rain, doing a little dance? I am looking for Hannah from Youth vs. Apocalypse. Please make yourself known. All right. Radical. All right, Hannah comes to us from the Youth vs. Apocalypse, and she's going to speak about the youth climate strike that happened last month. And she's also agreed to be our MC all day long, so you're going to get a lot of Hannah today. Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. So my name's Hannah Estrada. I'm from Youth vs. Apocalypse, which is to my, the little ones, some of us are here to my right. We organized the climate strike that happened in San Francisco on March 15th, about a month ago. We had 2,000 youth come out to shut down Market Street all the way to Union Square, which was pretty awesome, pretty amazing and powerful. And so we gathered to demand action from our government, to demand also that adults come and stand in solidarity with us and recognize that this is going to affect all of us in some way currently and in the future and tomorrow. And so it's really amazing to see that many youth have answered, many adults have answered that call. However, a month has passed and we see little to nothing being done about the issue that 2,000 of us have marched for. So today we're here standing all together as adults and as youth, as one, to re-ask our government and to demand that something be done about this issue. And we're going to keep doing that until something is done. So I would like to introduce my favorite activist sister, who also organized the youth climate strike last month, Nadja Goldberg, who's going to speak on some things. Can I get a round of applause? Come on, let's get that energy going, people!
Hi everyone, my name is Nadja. As Hannah said, I'm part of Youth vs. Apocalypse, and I was another one of the organizers for the recent climate strike. So I'm going to do a speech that I gave at the climate strike to you guys right now. All right. Climate change is threatening the lives and well-being of everyone on this planet. Okay. We are fighting to reverse the devastating effects of climate change. This fight might be long and hard, but we will not stop until we succeed. Too much is at stake. To climate deniers, we say, we will not stop. We will not let your lies stop us from protecting our planet. To climate delayers, we say, we will not stop. We can't wait. The time to act is now. To our elected representatives, we say, we will not stop. We urge you to support the Green New Deal and to join us in doing everything we can to address this crisis. To those who say it costs too much, we say, we will not stop. We ask, what is the cost of doing nothing? To the generation that comes after us, we say, we will not stop. We are fighting so that you have a place to live and thrive. To those who say we youth are too young to speak out, we say, we will not stop. Sometimes it takes the youth to see and say the obvious, that our planet is burning, our house is on fire. We will not stop fighting to protect our home and our future. Thank you.
Okay, and next we have Heather talking a little bit about what's going to be going on today.
Hey everybody, I'm Heather with SF Bay, and I wanted to recognize that we are an occupied Ohlone territory, and opening our event today is Penny Opal Plant.
Good afternoon, relatives. I'm kind of hesitant to speak into this because I'm sick, so be careful whoever's speaking to me after me. I am one of the co-founders of Idle No More SF Bay. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I can hear you. Who are you? Come on in.
Can you all hear me now?
Come on in.
Can you hear me now in the back? I usually have a giant voice. So I'm one of the co-founders of Idle No More SF Bay and Movement Rights. Movement Rights is an organization that works with tribes and communities on aligning human law with the natural laws of Mother Earth. And I'm Yaqui and Mexican on my mom's side, and Choctaw, Cherokee, and European on my dad's side. And every single day I see the Chevron refinery from where I live. And I grew up next to the Chevron refinery. And over all these decades that I've been working on ensuring that we all survive into the future for as long as creation allows us to, I have been working on that. And one of the things that I am so grateful to still be alive to see are all these young people rising up. I wasn't sure I was going to still be alive by the time you all got here, but I knew you all were coming. And so I just want to paint a little picture of what this place was like before colonization, where our Ohlone relatives lived here for thousands upon thousands of years in paradise, where the skies were black with migrating birds, where people could walk into the bay and gather everything that they needed to live and go into the fields and gather berries and roots and their medicines. And I think that we can go to that place sometime in the future, along with the new things that have been developed that no longer harm the sacred system of life. Like blending those two ways of being is something that we all can start to imagine, because all of the harms that have been committed came out of people's minds, human beings' minds. And now, as equally important as stopping the harms, are for us to imagine the future and get through the eye of that needle that we need to get through so that everything can be in balance as it's meant to be. And as Indigenous people who live in their territories where the cycles of traditions were not unbroken, they have what's called the original instructions. And those are instructions given to them at the beginning of their time there, telling them how to live in that place in a balanced way, in a reciprocal way within the sacred system of life. So keep that in mind. I invite you to keep that in mind. When you're imagining, where will our energy come from? Where will our food come from? And beyond that, how will we educate our children in a way that isn't forcing them into a man-made calendar designed to create people to work? You know, Indigenous people didn't have a word for work or laws or jails or prisons. So I just want to invite you to step through that opening and start thinking about, what do you want for your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and 7 generations into the future? What is it that you want? Thank you.
Man, that was powerful. So, where is Heather? Sorry guys, a little unprofessional. Heather. All right, sorry about that, guys. Getting a little bit warmed up here. Can we just get another round of applause for her, please? That was really amazing. it's really important to acknowledge where we stand today and what we're fighting for and who came before us. Now I would like to introduce a group of other young people who were also in attendance and spoke really powerfully at the Climate March last month. Here we have the Climate Change Collective from International High School. Can I get a round of applause, please?
First off, isn't Youth versus Apocalypse amazing? Can I have another hand for our MC? Secondly, we want to thank Extinction Rebellion, both for this event and for their entire body of work. As youth, we appreciate adult allies and how you're working to bring climate change the urgency that it deserves.
Exactly a month ago, over 1 million people marched together from 125 countries to demand attention for the climate crisis. And a lot has happened since then. Here are a few key moments.
We've produced 3,300,000,000 tons of greenhouse gases worldwide.
12 climate activists stripped at the London House of Commons to draw attention to climate change, making international headlines.
In the UK, Extinction Rebellion launched their youth branch.
In the US, the Senate blocked the Green New Deal.
Last week, 4,200 Amazon employees advocated for the company to cut their ties with the oil and gas industries in the largest employee demand against climate change.
And today, we're launching Extinction Rebellion Youth US. XR Youth US is dedicated to being a bold, vocal, inclusive voice of youth as we coordinate acts of nonviolent disruption across the nation. We stand with Extinction Rebellion's demands for the government to tell the truth about climate change, to act now for net zero carbon by 2025, to create a citizens' assembly, and for climate justice and a just transition.
Fighting climate change can feel like a shot in the dark. Like when we protest and yell about how they are killing our Earth, it isn't really clear who they is. But like any other story, the story of climate change has a villain.
The villain is the 100 companies that produce 71% of all greenhouse gas emissions.
The villain is the CEOs who pay their employees 1/1000th of what they make.
The villain is a culture, an economy focused on consumption rather than benefiting the world.
The villain is the governments that have succumbed to bribery and corruption, that have chosen profit over people, that have been manipulated into pumping our Earth with poison.
The villain is the people sitting in the White House that pulled us out of the Paris Climate Agreement, that continue to leave those in Flint, Michigan to drink contaminated water after 5 years, and that invest in coal rather than renewable energy.
The villain is the feelings of complacency that creep into our minds and pull us back onto our couch, that tell us it's not your problem, that make people stay home today instead of coming out and protesting with us.
The villain in this story is very clear, but so is the hero.
The hero in this story is you.
The hero in this story is every person that takes a stand for the environment.
The hero in this story is youth tirelessly moving through the streets and elevating this issue through social media.
The hero in this story is the organizations constantly battling multi-billion-dollar companies and corrupt politicians with non-violent direct action.
The heroes are people like you. Youth versus Apocalypse and Extinction Rebellion. People who never give up.
Extinction Rebellion was born out of the idea that everyday people need to unite to make change. Extinction Rebellion is artists and scientists, construction workers and economists, electricians and waitresses, students and teachers, parents and children. But most of all, Extinction Rebellion is people who want a future for ourselves and for the generations that come after us.
Extinction Rebellion is us. And Extinction Rebellion, along with everyone else standing up for our Earth, are the heroes in this story.
In the UK, Extinction Rebellion has already captured international attention from their disruptive acts of non-violent civil disobedience. Taking inspiration from Greta Thunberg, the March for Our Lives organizers, and other non-violent leaders, Extinction Rebellion held a funeral for the planet, created a blockade at a fracking conference, marched at the youth climate strike, and have numerous events planned weekly moving forward. They've marched, glued their hands to walls, and gotten arrested. They've consistently put themselves at risk to bring attention to the overdue dialogue that needs to be had about climate change and to demand immediate and comprehensive action to fight it.
And not only that, XR has spread into an international phenomenon. From South Africa to France, XR is building global urgency about climate change.
Now, we need to do the same.
Historically, being the largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in the world, the United States has played a central role in creating this climate chaos. And it's our job to lead the solutions to combat it. We need to block roads and plaster the XR logo across the country. We need to make headlines. We need to go bigger and louder. We need to sound an alarm now so that we can have a future later. We need to join this global initiative with as much seriousness and creativity as we can. We need to battle for our Earth relentlessly.
Because fighting climate change can feel like an overwhelming task. But when we all work together, we are more than strong enough to succeed.
Today, we're sounding an alarm, alerting policymakers, CEOs, and citizens that this is only the beginning of disruption until they begin to acknowledge the urgency of this issue and respond to our demands.
For youth, Extinction Rebellion has committed to showcasing our voices, allowing us to be front and center in determining what our future will look like.
Do you remember being a teenager? Nobody is better at being rebellious than youth. We need to channel our rebellious nature into a constructive purpose. We don't need to be rebels without a cause. We need to channel that rebellion into our cause, and then we will achieve so much.
Extinction Rebellion has laid the foundation and created the momentum for this movement. It is time for all of us to take charge of our future and save our Earth.
The purpose of government is to protect its people. But for decades, our government has left us defenseless against the development of climate change. Our government has failed us. When a government does not protect its people, it is not their government. We will not continue blindly on this path to apocalypse. We will take back our government. We will take back our rights. We will take back our lives. And most of all, we will never stop fighting.
We must be relentless in our fight. So keep on pushing, come to rallies and protests, and join XR Youth US. If you're interested in getting in contact with us, please follow our Twitter and Instagram at XR Youth US. And if you're watching this remotely, we're looking for passionate youth across the country. So again, at XR Youth US. Thank you so much.
Oh, that was powerful. This is the second time I've heard them speak, but you can just tell whenever they speak, they always put so much thought and energy into the words that they're saying. It's really a sight to see. But next we're going to have Cara Ellis from XR come up and say a few words. Can I get a round of applause, people? Let's keep that energy going.
Hello, everyone. I'm not really sure how I follow that. Our youth are so extraordinary. I would like to give a quick shout out to our partners for this action who have really made everything we've done so far possible. I would like to give a shout out to Diablo Rising Tide, to I Don't Know No, SF Bang, and to Youth versus Apocalypse, and to the Climate Change Collective you've most recently seen. also to the Thrive Street Choir, who has representatives here today. We have speakers from Stand.Earth and from the Brazil Solidarity Network as well. And to all of you for coming out today. There really isn't much for me to add after March 16th. Everything the kids are saying is on point. Everything the kids are saying is on point. Everything they're saying about their future is on point. The question is, what do we do about it? Can we allow a response from our politicians to tell them to go back to school? No! Is that sufficient? No! Is that the right response this crisis demands? No! What we have to do is mobilize. And I want to talk to you about what that means to adults now. We have a responsibility that is being pointed out to us very clearly. Our moral responsibility is being made clear to us by our children around the world, in the millions. When millions of our kids walk out of school to demand action on climate change, the question is lifestyle enough? No! Is changing my diet enough? No! Is, greening my business enough if my business produces unsustainable work in this world? No! It's not enough.
But it's great.
We love it. It's good. All of these things are good. All of this incremental work all of us have been doing on ourselves has been good and meaningful. But it has not been enough.
That's right.
Now is the time for activism. Now is absolutely the time for rebellion. And I'll tell you how urgent that is. And I'm not going to say 12 years, actually. I'm going to say 11. And I'm going to say that's really generous. Okay, that's really conservative, and we know that. And I want to talk to the scientists in the crowd who understand what conservative means related to science. We are always conservative as scientists, okay? The risk is great. We have 1 year to get to the politics to where they need to be, and 10 years after that for implementation. Achieve massive political change in 1 year.
You fight for it.
Take the streets. Rebellion.
Grassroots activism, anyone? Yeah. Civil disobedience, anyone? Yeah. To get to a living future, it's going to take everything we have. It's going to take every hour we have. I personally work 70 hours a week. I do 47 hours at my regular job. I take a call at lunch, I take a call in the afternoon, I do meetings in the afternoons, and I work all weekend. I'm 35. I would like to have a future too. I'll be 46 in 2030. I went to a meeting recently to save for my retirement.
Mm-hmm. Right?
I mean, come on, guys. Okay. So we already know moving in the right direction means implementation ready. And in the world of politics, that means we better get moving. I also want to talk to you about solutions. Does Extinction Rebellion offer a solution, is what I've been asked. And the answer is, yes, there are so many solutions, I cannot even list them for you. We do not have the time for that right now. There are so many solutions lined up behind us, and yet they have nowhere to go. What we have is an implementation problem. Scientists, inventors, farmers, social workers, and community builders, architects, designers, and teachers, all of you already have the expertise we need to build a living future.
Yes.
We are being actively prevented from doing so by our government. That's the problem with having pages. Yes, the situation is insane. But we like to talk about hope in Extinction Rebellion, and we say, when hope dies, action begins. A lot of people, I think, get the wrong idea about that. You know, they think that we're talking about the opposite of hope, and it's despair. This is not the case. This phrase speaks to reaching a wall of despair and climbing over it. Making a conscious choice to climb over that wall. We also have an inertia problem. Adults, workers, it becomes hard to believe that we can stop the machine, but we can. When action begins, hope is regained. I was not an activist before joining Extinction Rebellion. I've come to learn about solidarity, community, purpose. I have discovered collective power, and it is mighty. This is a joyful rebellion. Resisting tyranny in your life, even in the smallest of ways, brings greater freedom to your spirit and to the collective spirit of everyone around you. This is not a passive hope. Hope now is action, and that's what we need you for. That's what I need all of you, all of us at Extinction Rebellion who are already doing the work. We don't have enough of you. We need your hours, and we know you have them, and we know you're doing the work already, but we need more. I also want to talk, though, about something else that I came across in the news recently, just to remind us that in the darkest of times, something often very beautiful emerges. And I want to read a quote to you that I discovered in the paper. Incidentally, in The Guardian by Ellie Mae O'Hagan, she was describing the discovery of the most recent first photograph of a black hole. Okay? She says, "This moment must remind us of what we can achieve here and now, that we are more than capable of building a good life for all human beings on Earth today and in the future. There are no laws of science that demand poverty and destruction. These are phenomena that human beings have allowed to emerge, and human beings can end them. Our thirst for discovery has meant we have traveled further than our smallness should allow. We have defied our own limits to learn and explore. We have looked into the darkness, transfixed by its mystery. The universe is spellbinding, and so are human beings. Drawdown is possible. Drawdown is defined as the opposite of runaway warming. It is a disarming of the climate, a reversal of the damage we have done, remediation, reparations, and renewal. I want to put in your mind a vision of a future that is possible. Climb over the wall of despair and join us in action. Make the conscious choice to object. Become a rebellious protector of all life on Earth. Here's our call to action from the International Declaration of Rebellion. We call upon every principled and peaceful citizen to rise with us. We demand to be heard, to apply informed solutions to these ecological crises, and to create national assemblies by which to initiate those solutions needed to change our present cataclysmic course. We refuse to bequeath a dying planet to future generations by failing to act now. We refuse to bequeath a dying planet to future generations by refusing to act now. We act in peace with ferocious love in our hearts. We act on behalf of all life. Join us in rebellion. Thank you.
So now we're gonna get a move on. So let's keep this momentum, let's keep this energy so we can be shouting and chanting and spreading awareness to people who are passing by. And remember when you're out there that you're not just fighting, for the climate and all that good stuff. You're not just fighting for the people here and the people tomorrow. You're fighting for the kids in West Oakland across the bay, the women who developed cancer in Hunters Point, the kids in Flint, Michigan who still don't have clean water, that there's still stuff going on already right now. And now we're gonna, so just keep it in mind.
Wow. Hannah's got fire. Digger. All right. I am already hearing a lot of noise. Who brought their noisemaker? Yeah! Awesome. That's great. Okay, we have a few blue flags in the crowd. If you turn around, you see these blue flags. Who else has a blue flag? We got a blue flag up here. Whenever the blue flags go up, that is when we're going to sound the alarm. So let's practice that. Blue flags, make yourself known. All right, when they go up, they're already up. All right, guys, blue flags go down. We're going to practice this. Blue flags go down. Who's holding a blue flag? All right. You guys are not even paying attention. Put the blue flags down. All right, ready? When they go up, sound the alarm! That is a wonderful alarm. That's a beautiful people-powered alarm. I dig it. I would like to remind you that under all the bricks you're standing on, there is dirt. And as we walk, I want you to enjoy walking on the earth all the way down Market Street. We're going to head down 8th. We're going to go down Mission. We're going to end up in Federal Plaza. We're taking the streets. We're taking the earth. And if you are skipping the march to skip over to the Federal Plaza to hold the street and be our angels and protect us, please meet yonder. Understood? All right, let's try this again. You ready to sound the alarm? Let's sound the alarm! The front banners, if you guys mind, please make your way to Market Street. Thrive Street Choir. What's up? Yeah. Hey, y'all. Would you like to get us kicked off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. You ready for tonight?
Yep. Oh, yes, sure. Oh, he did. Okay.
We are riding
Are you going to... People gonna rise like the
We are riding like flowers out the concrete. We are rising like warriors into these streets. We are rising like flowers out the concrete. We are rising like warriors into these streets. We are rising like flowers out the concrete. We are rising like flowers out the concrete. We are rising like warriors into these streets. We are rising like flowers out the concrete. We are rising like warriors into these streets. We are rising like flowers out the concrete. We are rising like warriors into these streets. Sing it with me now. Rising like flowers out the concrete. We are rising like warriors into these streets. Rising like flowers out the concrete. We are rising like warriors into these streets. We are
gonna rise